And here we are. Thank you so much from Turkey. Now we are flying up north, because we are going in Iceland. And I'm super excited because today, together with the FAO, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, and our team, our network of the Future Food Institute that is everywhere in the world, our alumni, our climate shapers, our partners, supporters, ambassadors, we are really connecting the globe. And now we are landing in a country that we love so much, where we have amazing friends, and where we have been organizing one of our boot camp to train food and climate shapers on climate smart oceans. So today, with Gunnar, Ingi, all our friends in Iceland, we're going to talk about the connection between the health of the oceans, energy, and the power of education to preserve the planet. So welcome on board, friends, partners, ambassadors from Iceland. You are more than welcome to join me on stage. And let's say, I think that today we are really, blessed because we have the chance to hear so many different voices from the global food system, voices of people that are really not only talking about sustainability, but implementing sustainability in the daily life, in strategies, with innovation, in schools, in farms, in all the different sectors of the industry. Now, in this session, of course, we're gonna be up north, but at the end, we are gonna connect with Antarctica. So it's going to be exciting to be connected up north and down south, because we're going to talk anyway about the critical issues that are touching everyone in the globe. We started this morning very, very, very early because it was 5 a.m. here in Italy, but we were connected with Australia. We started talking about the big paradoxes of the global food system. And then from Australia, where we have been talking about the power of chef, we have been talking about the food waste and loss issue. We have been talking about food for earth and food for health that are strictly connected, because we cannot live healthy in a sick world. And then from Australia, we flew all around Asia, meeting professors, young innovators, and great voices, very inspiring voices from Indonesia, from China, from Japan. Also, the Secretary General of FAO was with us, and we were really glad to understand which are the priorities. This year is going to be a very, very important year, because the United Nations announced that we need to tackle not only the climate crisis, the social crisis, and the health crisis, but the food issue. Food System Summit, the United Nations Food System Summit, is going to take place at the beginning in Rome in July, and at the end of the process in New York in September. And for the first time, the entire world is going to be connected, being very focused and understanding how we can reboot the food system. So I think that this day is giving us the opportunity really to listen which are the major challenges we are facing, but also which are the solutions we can implement in our food system and in our daily life. So if our friends from Iceland are ready, we are ready to start. Okay, here we are. Welcome, welcome.
Hi, Sarah.
I'm so glad to see you. I wish I could be there with you.
Yeah, do you know what? This is the first day of summer in Iceland.
So, okay, also here the weather is not very good, but anyway.
No, or the first day of disappointment, as many want also referred to. So, because we are always waiting for the Icelandic summer. That's
great. So I'm gonna leave the stage to you, Gunnar. The floor is yours, and take us in Iceland.
So wonderful to see you, Sarah, once again. This event has been as inspiring as always. I've been following. I do have with me.
Happy birthday to everyone.
So these two kids are part of a course in the Folk High School in Flattery, which I'm fortunate enough to be teaching in this week. So these cool kids came to the very uninteresting room in the Westfjords to spend time with us and try to make it better. And they truly are, and they truly have. Society here has taken a lot of hits in the last 30 years, but groups of young people like these that are now now they're actually super worried that the bubbles they were blowing are not environmentally friendly, but I hope they are. But anyways, we have a short presentation ready, which is here. Is my screen present? Oh. Day of 2021, which is the Food for Earth Marathon. We are honored and privileged to be a part of it every day or every year. The Westfjords of Iceland are just me, Gunnar Ólafsson, who is curious and have a lot of great friends. We have the young leaders of the day after tomorrow. Tomorrow they will be probably, doing something else than leading. Catherine Chambers, who is one of my favorite friends in the Westfjords. He's a marine social scientist. And Ingibjörg Sigurðsson, who is the chairman of the board of LD Aqua and a dear friend of ours. Djúpið is where I come from, for those of you who haven't visited yet. It's a non-profit innovation shelter in the Westfjords. You can look us up at djúpið.net. It does give support to innovators and entrepreneurs in the area and wider. It provides networking opportunities for young people, which is quite important. We were lucky enough that, well, lucky and unlucky, that for the past months, the earth has been shaking and reminding us that we are but nothing. That in front of a wall of fire like this, we will stand united, and we are trying to figure out how to tackle this. 13 small craters opened up in the Reykjanes Peninsula on Iceland, and it has been an amazing show to follow. Absolutely amazing. Ingi's home in Hafnarfjörður has been shaking for months. It has been always fun to hear the volcanic news from that dear family. The media provided this by our friend Haukur, who's a great helper of Djúpið. And it has been magical. It is now our newest tourist hotspot in all senses of that. Quite amazing to see. In Iceland, we are here. The legislations are being cleared up for the macroalgae industry, which is important for the ocean health. It's important for marine innovation for us in the island territories. We have nationwide initiative towards electric fishing fleets, which is a necessary thing to do. We have geothermal energy that we can utilize to produce greener energy, and having the fishing fleet, which is a great polluter, having them electric will be quite substantial in the race to adjust to the changes. Groundbreaking research in marine biology, which Catherine has like her touches on every research in the Western area. Expansion of the blue economy innovation hubs, both here nationally and internationally. We're seeing like spots like the ocean cluster in Reykjavik reaching over to other countries and affecting a broader audience. We have new hope because of all these things. The innovation hubs prove their worth nationwide for local consequences. We have more government initiatives toward rural knowledge clusters, and that is wonderful. It is helping the marine rural areas to adjust. The rise of social innovation, that's not just a COVID thing, but it is the result of the communities focusing forward. And I'm not going to bore you with more of these and switch back to here. So this is all that I had, an extremely short and short followed presentation of how we're doing and why. I've been inspired in the last years by the female leaders, especially after moving here to the Westfjords. I've been inspired by our friend Catherine, who is leading research in the university center. So it would be an excellent addition if you could. Do you have a presentation, or if you could tell us a little bit about your work so we can discuss from there?
Yes, I do. Finished it not too long ago, but hopefully there's no typos on it. So do you see the presentation?
No, not yet. So one of the interesting research that I was supremely fascinated with was the behavioral research that's ongoing. How mapping of both migratory fish and stationary fish, how that is going. That's been like fascinating for me, because the fishing industry, to my knowledge, has been utilizing data from now. They're not necessarily projecting where it will be in 10 or 15 years. And therefore, these both genome and behavioral research is extremely important. That's been quite interesting to witness and be a part of.
Yeah, I think, that's the thing in Iceland. Like, of course, there was, I think, it was at the end of the Cod Wars, there was a famous sort of politician that said, like, well, sort of, what do you expect? Like, this is a rock in the middle of the ocean surrounded by fish. Fish will always be an important part of not just Icelandic culture, but economy and daily life, international cooperation, and, the whole scale. Can you see my PowerPoint now?
No.
Okay, well then it's secret and nobody gets to see it.
Okay.
So yeah, what I wanted to talk about was just sort of like my background, which was like my take on things as an interdisciplinary researcher, really to sort of think about this like broader picture of how everything, works together. And in fisheries, we talk about sustainable fisheries, and it's often, so much about the biology, which is of course an important aspect. And I think in Iceland, we do a great job just like asking the right research questions and really focusing, on the things we need to focus on in the ocean. But every country, has got knowledge gaps. And I think that shows, just this, we always need to be thinking of the next research questions and thinking about, how things change in the ocean and what biologically, what biological questions we need to ask. But we also can't forget that, we have these three pillars of sustainability. Ecology is one. We have economy. So we need, viable economic activities at sea. People need to be making enough, money, and these things need to support sort of local livelihoods. And then we also have the third bubble or pillar, which is equity. And this is the thing that I'm most sort of like, as mostly a social scientist, I'd say, that's what I'm interested in the most. And so these are things like cultural identity, accessibility to natural resources, and local empowerment. And these are some of the things that often get left out when we talk about sustainable fisheries. And so this is my sort of, both academic interest and I think also personal interest, is thinking about just also like understanding the social aspects of the way that humans interact with the ocean, but also how scientists like myself can be better represented in the sort of larger picture of fisheries management. And this is why I guess a lot of folks watching have probably seen recent documentaries that talk about the problems of capture fisheries and commercial fisheries in the ocean. And for people like myself, there's a lot of misinformation and things missing in these kinds of documentaries, because we can't just say all commercial fisheries are bad, stop eating fish. what we need to do is really take a critical, look at this and say, what are the bad aspects about some of the things we're doing at sea? I mean, let's be honest, we do need to manage ourselves and create rules and transparent sort of governance processes. But we also need to, I think, at the same time, sort of identify and also go so far as to celebrate the good things about the ways humans interact with the ocean. And that's why it'll be really great for everybody to hear Ingibjörn after my talk, because he's one of these people, and Gunnar as well, who are interacting with the ocean. And yes, it is an economic activity, it's a job, but it's also so much more than that. And you can see with these different actors, that there is this sort of want to protect the future, to think about the future, to protect the next generation, to make, sort of viable opportunities that really are ecologically, economically, and sort of socially sustainable. So the project that I'm working on right now, for the most part, is a Horizon 2020 project called Just North. And we're looking at justice and equity systems in the North. And we're looking at small-scale fisheries in Iceland and sort of thinking about these issues of justice and equity. Who gets to access the marine resources? We have a bunch of them all over the island. Whose right is it to access these resources? And I'm not just talking about fish. It's seaweed, and it's wild seaweed or growing seaweed. It's shellfish, wild shellfish or growing shellfish, and all the other sort of extremely diverse, resources that we have at sea. How do we think about ways that we can really enact justice, sort of just and equitable access to these resources that benefit the sort of local communities as well, that are so close to the resources? I'm pointing out my window because if you could see out my window, you would see the ocean, but it's right there, I promise. So I'm building on previous work, having lived in Iceland now for many years, and sort of moving into the next steps are taking these ideas of justice and equity and applying them to the SDGs. Of course, we see all this wonderful sort of material in the SDGs for researchers like myself to say, okay, how would we measure this? And how can we look at my specific, interests, small-scale fisheries in Iceland? And how can I say, okay, here's an SDG that we need to look at. Here's something we need to measure. So all these indicators through the SDGs are something that we'll be developing sort of in the lens of Icelandic small-scale fisheries in the next year. And then I wanted to switch, just sort of wrap it up here with my experience working at the university center here. So we're a small university, and connections like Gunnar and Djupið and Ingibjörn are so important. And so I think what we realize is, this is a small educational center out in the countryside. We're in the very northwest corner of Iceland. But it's not that we're lacking ideas, it's not that we're lacking even willpower, but the things that we need are these connections. We need the network of people. And we also need the support for people like Gunnar, like our students, who are great thinkers, great visionaries and great scientists. And so what I'm really interested in is this sort of next generation of researchers, of students who are taking interdisciplinary studies like the ones that we offer here at the University Center. There's one called Coastal and Marine Management and another called Coastal Communities and Regional Development. And these are very interdisciplinary. The way I was talking about sustainable fisheries, this is very much, these programs are also, a little bit of economics, a little bit of anthropology, a little bit of planning, a little bit of business, a little bit of all the different natural sciences. And we really see this as like the way forward, I think, for very many sort of like career opportunities in the future, is the way that these students, come here to Ísafjörður and are inspired, by all the future opportunities that we hope exist and that we want to exist and that I think will exist in marine resources in Iceland. So that's all I have.
Amazing. Do you think, Catherine, that like you talked about the ownership and the equity in the smaller fisheries and the need to create a more sustainable model for them? Can it be designed to be not only sustainable but regenerative? Because we already are seeing stocks in danger.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, so some of this I think is like the key, like the playing of language, you know. So it's like we have had the word sustainability for a long time, and then it gets kind of trickled down into everyday speaking. I remember when I first moved to Iceland 13 years ago, the word for sustainability was not like even decided upon, and it was like, you know, but now you see it everywhere. And I think it's, you know, even in English and in many languages around the world, it's like, okay, we use the word sustainability and we all think we know what it means. Then you have resilience. Okay, we think that we know it's part of, you know, so not to accuse you of using buzzwords, but yes, I think is sort of the next iterative or iteration of this same sort of idea, which is that we're trying to be good humans. And I think we can be, and we are. But there are some things we need to work on. But yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think that's the idea with this equity, especially. So what I'm interested in is the next generation. So this is regenerative for social, you know, groups. So like, what are the opportunities, you know, not just that one person can pass a fishing license or the fishing knowledge onto one other person, but maybe 3 people, and those 3 people in the next generation onto those. And, you know, it's not about growing or exponential growth, but it's more about equitable opportunities. So there will always be humans who will access marine resources. You know, that's who we are. The ocean is who we are, many of us. And so how can we ensure that these humans who are so intimately linked with the ocean and deserve to be, how do we make sure that they can be?
Exactly.
Excellent.
So what have you been up to since the last broadcasting? Where is the seaweed innovation industry going?
Yeah, we'll find out soon, I think.
Yeah.
So yeah, I would say I have a little presentation, and please stop me if it takes too long. So, but nevertheless, here it is. So, and share. Is it working right now? Hello, Gunnar, do you hear me?
Yes, there it is.
Okay, excellent. I don't see you anymore. So yeah, so please interact with me if something is off. So yeah, thanks, Catherine, and thanks, Gunnar, for the opportunity to be here with us, with you guys. So yeah, as should I put it in presentation mode, or like to see it like?
Yeah, I think that probably it's good enough as is, but it would be even better in presentation mode.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, I'm learning. So yeah, as Gunnar mentioned, we have a company called LT Aqua, and we are planning on seaweed farming in the westwest of Iceland. So if we think of the world, here you can see how the kelp or how seaweed grows throughout the world, and we need to think about this area that are blue, light blue or dark blue, as in the same manner as we are thinking about the Amazon rainforest, because in a way they are sequencing so much carbon, and there's so much life in this area that are in the blues in this picture. The fact is, around 83% of global carbon emission sequencing happens in the sea, but we don't really see seaweed. Or at least most of it. I can see it like right here, if you can see the pictures on the ocean. We, as a planet, we need to start to recognize both the importance of seaweed and as well the endless opportunities for seaweed in our world. Both, yeah, especially through the 3 pillars that Catherine mentioned earlier. So in a red perspective, if we just do 10% of the ocean to farm seaweed, we can safely store about 40 gigatons of carbon dioxide per year. That is exactly the same amount that we emit on an annual basis. So here we can see the beautiful westwards. In the world, we have 11,000 species of seaweed. Here in Iceland, we are mostly just 6 species. But the six species is like they are so important for the life in the oceans and as well life in the sea because it's a birthing place for the fishing stocks. Yeah, so in a way, seaweed farming is nothing new, and it has been done for thousands of years, especially in Asia. But it's rather new in our end of the world because we have abundance of it in the ocean. So, like our friends in Faroe Islands have already 50 hectares of seaweed garden lying out in the ocean and are harvesting them right now. In Norway, there's 180 companies farming or working in the farming sector in Norway. Here in Iceland, we are almost the first one to have the ambition to do it commercially, at least. So, what is seaweed farming? Seaweed farming can happen in here you can see the overview. We have the offshore farming. It is like deep in the ocean. We can have co-location for wind farm. We are thinking about the co-location with the agriculture companies, can clean up. And we have also nearshore agriculture or nearshore seaweed farming. And what we are thinking about is IMTA, that is integrated multi-tropic agriculture, that can also harvest shellfish. And as well, we have onshore growth, and we have a lot of research being done in that band this year. So, and this is how we see the future. It is ecology. It is like ecosystems of living biomass and living creatures. And the one thing that is interesting to seaweed farming is not only carbon neutral, it is also enrich the environment in the sea and what the seaweed farming is offsetting is just is oxygen. So here can we see our old hatchery, I believe, and in the tanks the seedling is setting on lines that we will put in the ocean. The market for seaweed is growing very rapidly, and both because of the health rating of the health craving customer, but it's also because we are looking for new proteins and protein and seaweed is in proteins. And here can you see the kelp volume machine. It's about how we can utilize kelp. We can utilize it in food. We can use it in fertilizer. We can use it in animal feed. We can even make charcoal food. We can add it to beverage, like Spennon has been doing. And it's even in the textile cosmetics industry. And I think all of us has already heard about seaweed as a biodegradable plastic. So, and here are some of the products that have been made. Here are the forecasts I was referring to for the European market. It is a up to $10 billion market, and it is increasing in this matter. So here is a landscape of companies in the seaweed sector worldwide, and our future is regenerative, and I think seaweed farming can be part in that. And Catherine talked about the SDGs, and it falls in almost every sector of the SDGs. And I will just invite you now to join the seaweed revolution. So, and I will stop sharing my screen.
Thank you, Ingi. This is
Yeah.
interesting because seaweed research in Iceland has been mainly focused on like a more low-tech industry. So it's very interesting to venture into that. And we've gotten like great assistance and a wealth of data from the University Center and Catherine.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know how to stop sharing the screen, but I agree with you. This is like it is like under-researched opportunity all over the world, in my mind at least.
So, social sciences, how would you, as a social scientist, Catherine, where would you look into the heritage of seaweed in Iceland? Because it was mostly forgotten, bar maybe 2 products or 2.
Yeah. I think this is so interesting because, it's in the old, there's the collection of the Íslenska sjávarhættir, like the old books, and there's all this information. And I think somehow it just got lost, over time. And people said, oh, yeah, I guess we used to put seaweed in soup or, and what you realize is I think seaweed got lost in the sort of cod is God in Iceland. It's just like you have this fish, it's so super important, and this is our marine connection, is this fish. And I think but it's so true that there are so many stories and so much history of local use of seaweed. And now that it's growing again, literally, haha, get it? Yes, made a seaweed grow. Yes. I think what we see is, it's not going back to the past. It's a new sort of human nature relationship. And so that's why somebody like me is so excited. Like it's a new industry, but it also creates a new sort of understanding of like, what is this thing out at sea and how do we, how do folks in Iceland think about it? And how is that different from people in other nations who might also be seaweed farmers? So I think there's a lot, and then of course it goes into the sort of food, like how do people think about it? What do they put it in? What do they use it in the taste? Like, is it just seaweed is sushi and that's that? And so that's some of the research that we're doing right now. We did a nationwide survey trying to think about sort of how people in Iceland think about seaweed and what might be some sort of food opportunities for the future.
This is amazing stuff. I'm so happy to have gotten you guys to be here with us. It's always a pleasure. I'm fortunate enough that most of the days I can talk to Catherine and steal coffee. And I will meet you, Ingi, next week, which I'm looking forward to. Oh, there is Sarah. Hello,
yes,
Sarah.
Sarah, almighty Sarah.
So nice to see you, Sarah.
I'm back. I'm here since 5 a.m. So I'm always here.
Wow.
Yeah. Still a long way to the end. Thank you so much. Actually, you have been touching very hot topics because now with Seaspiracy, everybody's talking about the sustainability of the oceans and sustainable fishing and how crucial is the health of the oceans for the health of humanity. People don't understand what's this strict connection with oceans and maybe people that are far away from the oceans. And so I think it's really crucial to spread knowledge about that. Also relevant sources of knowledge, because sometimes knowledge is influenced by many different souls and many different interests. So I think that is important to keep going. And thank you, Catherine, for the work you're doing. Thank you, Ingi, for everything, and Gunnar. Thank you for bringing us in your classroom. What you're doing is such an important thing, inspiring youth, next generations, the ones that are going to take care of the planet in the future. So it's been really great to be with you in Iceland. Now, first of all, I want to come and visit you pretty soon. and be there again with the next boot camp to train climate shapers about climate smart oceans.